Hi. How's everybody doing this morning? Look at this. I have the Murphys with me. It's weird because I still have you in my phone as your maiden name. So, yeah, you. I don't think Ted has a maiden name. You're like, wait, are you talking to me? Is this thing on?
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah. Good morning.
So, yes, Jen Murphy. I've got Ted Murphy. And we've got so many unusual stories to talk about. First off, thank you for answering the call.
Oh, no problem. We're
excited.
psyched to be here. We love Naukabout.
You know what? Yeah, I'm finishing up some of our knockout. There's still some on draft left, which I'm surprised because usually when they do a keg run, when it's gone, it's gone. So, and they really are creative with their flavors. They've got some sort of s'mores stout right now.
Okay. Gotta check that out.
Yeah, right. I know. And there's some yummy spring releases that are coming up. So Naukabout, Lake Ave, and Mashpee, we are here every single Sunday Funday from 11 to 1. Ariel is back behind the bar. She is just the kind and thoughtful bartender back there. So she makes your Sunday Funday well worth the stop by. So swing on by and say hello. It's beautiful out.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Amazing.
And they've got a whole outdoor area. So if you've got kids and dogs and whatever, be outside. Go outside, enjoy it. Sit down at one of their picnic benches in the woods. That's why I like it. It's kind of like a little hobbit hole of a brewery.
It really is.
Yeah.
But when you pull in here, you're like, if you don't know the place,
Right.
you're like shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's creatively done in here, so come and check it out for yourself. So there is so much going on in all of our orbits, so when we get a chance to get together, I'm just like, yay. And it's usually for a nonprofit of some sort.
Absolutely. Always, right?
Exactly. So talk about some of the nonprofits that you work with, Jen, because I feel like you're always at, and now I work with that one. I'm like, I didn't know you work with that one too.
The main one I love to talk about is Wings for Falmouth Families.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so close to my heart. So I've been with them about 4 years. We are just right now in the planning stages. We're planning a big gala at Seacrest in October, which
Amazing.
we're super excited about. And then, of course, getting ready for Road Race in August. A lot of fun stuff coming up. It's so nice to finally have spring that we can get out and start doing some things. But for those of you that don't know, Wings for Falmouth Families, we help families in need that if there's a medical condition or they've gone through a disaster, if they have kids and live or work in Falmouth, then we help out with bills, getting them back on their feet.
And it doesn't have to be crazy disasters. I mean, it could just be a matter of fact of you hurt yourself and couldn't work that week and you're behind on something.
100%.
Like whatever it is. Like,
yes.
I can't even pay this and they're going to shut off my electricity tomorrow.
Exactly. So
It's just to get them back on their feet.
Yeah.
You know? I watch, their board is amazing. Watching all the events, because they also do the ugly sweater.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm involved in. The one event, I'm like, I can help you. I can handle this
the
one.
Go Hug at Christmas time is so much fun.
Yeah.
The Giving Tree, the ugly sweater contest. We do a lot of fun things. So that's what I was saying. I'm just so excited. It's spring, and now we're planning a lot of great events coming up. So
Well, and the gala, isn't that an anniversary?
That's 20th anniversary in October.
Amazing.
Can't believe it. Helping families for 20 years, which is a fantastic thing.
Yeah, and it really, check out Wings for Falmouth Families if you're in the Falmouth area and you're ever struggling or you just want to help somebody out, one of your neighbors. You forget how big Falmouth is sometimes. the
big.
sheer area it covers, but also the different villages. There are a ton of people, and it's inevitable that some sort of thing will happen in your life where you're embarrassed to ask for help, or maybe it's a neighbor that you're like, suggest them to go and look out. I always check in. For whatever reason, I seem to be the hub where people come to be like, I've got this going on, or I've got this going on, or I've got this disaster. Where do I go? Right. And it's nice to have those resources and work with a lot of the people in our community. Good morning, Dan. Thank you so much for checking in. Jen, Amy, Dawn. We are just surviving. We all had a crazy weekend. I was last night at Sturgis with another fundraiser. We raised $30,000
Wow.
just for the live auction
goodness.
portion.
Really? Wow.
And Sturgis is not, it's a charter school, so it's not the uppity rich anything. It's a total lottery to be able to go to that high school. And there, every single walk of life. So it was country versus country club was the theme.
Get out.
And I was like interviewed for this job. They were like, well, what will you play for country club? I'm like, yacht rock. They were like, oh, good answer. But it was really funny. So there was a portion where there was a bucket, like a trick-or-treat bucket in front of me where people could pay to stop a song if they didn't want to hear it.
Oh, I love that.
Which is so stressful for me. So I had to plan like 800 extra songs. So I'm like, what if they don't like that? And then what if they don't like that? And at the end, it kind of got into a pissing match. And they cleared the dance floor. They were mad because somebody bounced a Michael Jackson song. And I was like, I was paid to shut this off. But the live auctioneer was fabulous. He had like a wardrobe change. He was like, if you've ever or never met somebody that is so into their job, he specifically took people aside the entire auction and was like, you've got to see this item. And like went into the story behind the item. Oh, wow. Like really got into it. And I was like, this is why he's good at his job, because he really likes these items.
He is psyched about those
There are
items.
personal stories for everything. You would think that it was like a family heirloom with everything that he talked about. So it was just it was really cool to watch. But he came out to Rhinestone. He had a walkout song, Rhinestone Cowboy, like threw on a jacket. He's like, when it hits the chorus, make sure everybody gets up. And I'm like, okay.
We're going next year.
Yeah.
Well, that's Ted and I connected in that fashion. We like these like silly pomp and circumstance stuff. We work together for Quahog Day.
Yeah, the Quahog Day where we're security guards.
Yeah.
Actually, you got
I got a big boost
Promotion,
this year.
right?
I did, just for 1 year only. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Patricia. I was upped to actual like host MC this past year, so that was exciting. But I like, if I'm down for a storyline, a good storyline where I'm like, yep, all right, what are we doing? And we got theme music and we're gonna do this. Just have a little fun.
I got a funny story about Quahog Day.
Yeah.
I was with Mo Cheeks. People around town probably know.
You know who Mo Cheeks is.
And we had just been security guards. This was in Chatham.
Yep.
So we go into this restaurant dressed as our security, and he's like, "I'll check the bathroom," and we start doing this whole thing. and they're like, "What's going on?" I go, "I really can't.
Can't talk about it."
And I go, "So Beyonce, what time is she coming?" And the woman's like, "Oh my God, I think Beyonce's coming." So we get it. Then we're like, you know what? I've earned a beer. Setting up for this whole thing.
Right.
So we get a beer and we walk out of there. And there were people coming in. I know she was texting her friends.
Absolutely.
Being like, I felt so
Absolutely.
bad, but I really didn't.
Don't feel bad about that. Like, it's just super fun.
Yeah.
You and I had worked together on another fundraiser where there was a wrestling match.
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
my son, I forget how old at the time he was like 7 or 8. And he was so into it and he really thought it was real. And he was like,
hated us.
yeah, he hated you.
Oh, yeah.
Because
He's
I
like-
was the manager for Mo.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're not going to let us wrestle. And your son's like, get out of here, get out.
He was so aggressively into this storyline. He really bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And I think that for me is the magic point where if you can get somebody to come along or actually believe in the story or feel that story, to be able to just sit there and be part of this magic, even though it's totally made up. We're just having a good time.
Well, and we raised money for a young man he's cancer-free.
Casey.
Isn't that
Yeah,
amazing?
Casey.
Yep.
And he's now giving back.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
And I think that is like definitely the takeaway of this conversation is when you're volunteering for stuff, like I really feel like it needs to be a point where you can have a magic part of whatever it is that you're doing. It's not just, I got to do this because I got to check a box because I got to volunteer for something. I think that it's so important to have create your own magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The imagination is lost when we're sitting there in front of screens with our children all of the time.
All day long.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you've been on a whirlwind tour in our school systems, so I'm sure that you've been seeing it right there in person.
It's really amazing how for our kids, we lost a lot over those years.
Yeah, COVID.
And last
Yeah.
year was the first year I was back doing the assemblies. And, you have your stick and you do your talking.
Right.
And I'm like, why aren't the kids laughing? because they did not know how to interact.
Engage in real life.
And today, when I say today, this year, it's back. It feels so good because I'm like, oh, they got my joke.
Right,
And,
yeah.
And the whole back and forth is we're getting back there.
Good.
So
Good
that's a
morning,
good
Linda. So yeah, you've been doing the school tours, and tell people about really if they've never seen you or know what you do.
Yeah, so I first started as a writer with the Belltown Mystery Series. And that did well for me, obviously. Mysteries.
That was young adult stuff, though,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And my buddy Mark Penta, who I've known since I was 5 years old, tremendous illustrator.
He really is.
And he said, we should do something together. And he sent me a drawing one day, and he said, okay, you got 15 minutes to come up with something. I'm like, oh my gosh. So,
Right?
But I did. I was at a Coffee Obsession.
Was this before you started teaching like your kids' classes?
I've been teaching for 28 years.
All right.
Privately. Yeah, the Just Write It class right in Falmouth Heights.
Hey, summer's coming. Sign up the kids.
Yeah,
I'm telling
please,
you,
please.
you
We
won't
have fun. If your kids
regret it.
like to create, this is the place to be. Jen knows.
Oh, yeah.
I just had a little
Kids
girl
all- yeah.
yesterday, my Saturday class. She comes with a walker, and she's got she's only 9 years old.
Adorable.
Yeah,
So
and
adorable.
she's got this white hair, and she's dressed as
An old
grandma.
lady, yeah.
Yep.
And she's like, I wanted to dress as my grandma today.
Okay.
And her mom looks at me because she's helping her with the walker.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't know, that's what she wants. But that's the whole beauty
The
of
fun of it.
The
just letting-
creativity.
Yeah, because when that stuff is stifled, it's going to affect a child.
Yeah.
Where this kid, I can see her on probably hosting Saturday Night Live years from now.
And even if it's not, it's those moments that she will never forget, and you most certainly will never forget
will
that,
never
just
forget that one,
because
yeah.
it's a safe space for them to have their creativity
Yeah.
inspired by
They,
and to write about it.
Yeah. Well, and they rickrolled Jen the other day.
More than one time,
Yeah.
may I add.
Yeah,
What
that's true.
happened?
It started turning into a thing every time I'd walk
Yeah.
in the shack.
They're like, oh, that's your wife. I'm like, I know it's my wife.
Yeah.
Let's get her in here. So Jen walks in, and she always pretends like it's for the first time.
Right.
she's
Yeah, right.
getting-
Guys.
And they're all like, yeah.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
awesome.
Yeah, they're adorable.
But back to Penta. So he sent me that, and I wrote back. I came up with like a little story starter thing, and then we said, you know what? I think we have something here. And if I can show the camera, we ended up writing this book, Super Strange Story Starters.
Yep.
And the second one is Creative Coloring and Far Out Fun. And this might be an exclusive. On April 25th, our third one's coming out, and it's called Unusual Objects in Fantastic Places.
I just didn't even know how fantastic my timing was when I was like, wait a minute, is this new?
Yeah, that's funny when you called me
Yeah.
the other day. I was like, yeah, well, I'll pump up the books.
Well, you know what? That's the beauty of having creative friends and friends that are in our realm. We're always making something new or working on something cooler because we get bored and we need to constantly create stuff.
Exactly. I mean, every day we wake up. This is why I love my wife so much. We'll go for walks and we'll just make up stories,
Oh, yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, it's magical.
I thought she enjoyed it.
That is phenomenal.
I guess tomorrow I'll be walking the dog by myself.
That's
I
it,
was
maybe.
thinking of the story started this morning with Marley.
Oh, yeah, what was
Wait,
it?
no, because I said we should attach our house key to her collar.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I lost my keys to the house.
Well, that's
But then,
usually
but then
me.
where would
So.
the key go?
Yeah.
Like, that would
Yeah.
be the,
Yeah, where would the key go with Molly?
yeah.
But that's super fun. I mean, honestly, you're doing it in your own life and you're doing that for children, which I think is so important. They are creative by nature and there's so much going on in there, and to be able to have them find a place to spill that out onto. And if you've never seen one of Ted's story starters, tell people about how it works.
Well, actually, maybe I could read one?
I would love that.
Because
yeah.
what's today? Today's a
Today
big
is
day.
International Children's Book Day.
Yeah.
And it is also, I think, a picture book day for children's books also. So, yeah, it ties right into what we're talking about today.
So this is from Super Strange Story Starters. So, for example, Mark sends me this drawing. And then he gets to walk away.
That is
This is their creative process, which I love that you're sharing that
So
with us, because
he
I
gets-
always wondered
as I
how
say,
it worked.
He gets to walk away because it's like, okay, there's this woman, she's got a gift, and there's a flying saucer. What do I do with this?
Okay.
So I said, she looks like she's working or living in a retirement community. So this is called Mavis Mindlewarp is the Alien Dater. Mavis Mindlewarp was frustrated. She felt there wasn't a good man to be found in her town. So she moved to the exotic Ponce de Leon Fountains retirement community with the hope of meeting someone out of this world. Her wish came true the day the UFOs arrived. While the rest of the residents evacuated, she freshened her lipstick and picked an outfit that was sure to turn some cute alien heads. Mavis headed down to the beach with a gift for one of those very lucky visitors. Little did she know the reaction from that gift would determine the future of mankind. So now they would finish the story. So what a child would be like, what's in there? And my gosh, some of the stories I get from just that one.
And I love that. Now,
out.
now do you inspire people to write that or take photos or share them with you on social? Because I feel like it's such a great connection.
Yeah, so Mark and but Mark does a great job with our Instagram page, Totally Weird Activity Books, Instagram, also on Facebook. Yeah, and kids send it in, and now we have a website, and we're going to have a lot.
I love that.
Because the
It's
books
gonna be great.
just came out a couple of months ago.
Yep.
So all the material is now coming into us.
Yeah.
So check out TotallyWeirdActivityBooks.com as well. And that's the joy for us because
Yeah.
everyone has a different Mavis story. You know?
Right.
So that's really cool. If I may, can I give
Absolutely.
okay, here's an exclusive. So again, this is the book coming out in April. And to give an idea of how we work,
We're being our best Vanna Whites.
well, yeah,
Turn this.
so Mark sends me this drawing, and originally it was just a school bus. And I said, first of all, I loved it, but I was like, okay, what am I going to do with that? I said, you know what? I think this should be a tour bus. And I have this fun activity where I write down band names.
Okay.
Like, you have to hear someone talk about something, and I'm like, that's a good band name.
Yeah.
And so I looked through my band names, and I don't know why I had Levitating Frogs, but it was in there.
It's meant for something.
So I came up with this, the tour bus at Palm Tree Stadium. The Levitating Frogs band formed when all four members met at a summer school science class in the 7th grade. Tag played guitar, Arnie played bass, and Crutches was on drums.
Crutches.
Jimbo couldn't play a lick, but he had charisma and declared himself their lead singer. He also named the band in memory of the frogs they dissected in class.
Oh.
Jimbo was driving their tour bus through a blinding snowstorm, thinking that it was probably time for the band to call it quits. They had some success over the years, but now they couldn't even afford a driver. If we could do one more gig, he thought as the wipers cleared the snowflakes. The bus's headlights illuminated a sign that read, "Next exit, Palm Tree Stadium." That's a weird name, Jimbo thought, considering he was driving in Vermont. Since the rest of the band was asleep, he decided to take the exit. When he pulled off the highway, the snow turned into a sandstorm. What the heck is going on, he wondered. The bus plowed ahead. Sunlight blinded him, and they slammed to a stop. Arnie shouted, "Dudes, we're on an island." Tag pointed at the sea. "Look!" Hundreds of boats were headed their way. 5 minutes later, ...
There we go.
And there's your photo. So then it inspires whoever is doing it. And you know what? This is definitely a family activity too.
It's so true, and we, like with the
Sorry.
coloring, with the creative coloring book and Far Out Fun.
Yeah.
The parents take over, and they're like, "I wanted to color." you
Yeah.
know? But these are great. Even just, instead of like going on, your phone and all that stuff.
Yep.
You're driving along, and that's how it started with me. When I
Yep.
was a kid, my dad would be driving to Canada, and he'd say, "Okay, what's the deal with this guy? And we would start telling stories.
I love it.
6 kids in a Great Dane.
Yep.
Going to Canada in a station wagon. There were a lot of stories there, I'll tell you.
I'm sure there were.
Yeah, and my mom playing, what was it, Air Supply over and over.
Those fun, creative memories that we have as kids. I love that you're bringing those to life in the situation that as your writer. I mean, you write what you know, right?
Exactly.
And you were taught. You were raised by a writer.
Yes.
So you were taught a lot of wild ways to think.
It really starts with storytelling. And I always, when I do the school visits, I tell the kids, when I was 5 years old, my dad would tell me bedtime stories, but it wasn't about knights in shining armor saving fair maidens.
Yeah.
He'd go, I'm going to tell you a bedtime story. It's about a guy who escaped from the local prison. and he's hiding in the woods right outside your window. And I go, Daddy, why is he hiding? He goes, no, first let me describe him. He's got eyes as black as a February night and a crisscross scar. And he's outside your window. And I said, yeah, I know, Daddy, you already said that. But why? And he said, well, because he's left something. He used to live in this house, and he left something in your room.
Stop.
Yes. I swear. And then I go, what did he leave in my room, Daddy? And then he go, I really don't know. I got to think about that. I'll finish the story tomorrow night. Good night, buddy. And I'd be shaking there going, So the love of storytelling, like eventually
That's
got
hysterical.
used to it, and then I told him scary stories.
Yeah.
And I remember Mrs. Holcomb, God love her, she was one of the best teachers I ever had. She called our house, it was 7th or 8th grade when I had her, and she said, is everything okay at your house? And my dad's like, why? Well, your son wrote, and I won't even tell the story because it was.
I can only imagine.
Over the top.
And you over the top?
And then
Never.
he goes, there's only one problem with that. And she goes, what? He goes, the title in the newspaper was way too long or something.
Yeah.
And I won't even say what the title was.
I can only imagine.
And then she goes, what? He goes, I'm a writer. And she goes, oh, well, that explains everything.
Now I get it.
That is phenomenal, and I love that you're sharing this. Now, where can people find these stories? Because April vacation is coming up. I feel like those should be in the hands of everyone of a certain age. And it really, honestly, they're fun for grown-ups, too.
Yeah.
Fun for everyone.
So hopefully they're still at 8 Cousins.
Yep.
And there's the bookstore at Mashpee, Market Street Books.
Perfect.
But I'm going to put it out there. I urge local bookstores. We always say, hey, support your local bookstores.
Yeah.
How about local bookstores support
Your local
writer?
authors, absolutely.
Because there's a lot of that they'll go, they'll take someone from Missouri or something.
Yeah.
Make a big deal. And there's so much local writers here who are talented.
So many.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and
it's
give a
not
shout out to your other creative endeavors because Sea Crow Press,
Yes, absolutely.
phenomenal.
Yeah, Mary at Sea Crow Press.
Well, now that I follow Sea Crow, I'm seeing other authors that are really, really doing some cool things locally, which I really love, and I never would have seen it had you not brought me into that space.
Well, and when we talk about local writers, Sandwich High School has a teacher, Scott Childress, who he's got YA books coming out, and support him, and that's what we do. But for me, this is a whole different avenue because I have a book coming out called Macabre Trophies in June. It's a serial killer thriller, and Mary said, you know what? We have to have an imprint because, it's not
It's a different kind of book,
it's
and you
not
even
kids.
changed your name
Yeah.
as an
Yeah,
author
so,
because
and
you
we
can't
joke
be
about
seen
this
at that
around the house.
brand.
Yeah, I'm always like, Declan Rush is in the house, honey.
Watch out. So if you needed another reason to have multiple personalities, it's perfect. Now we've named them. They have websites.
And I want to give a shout out to your husband who built my website, DeclanRush.com.
It's fun for
Thank you,
us to
Cliff.
work with creative people because sky's the limit on what we're going to get into. So it's just really fun to develop some of that and just be there on the ground floor and watch people step into their artistry, whether it's a writer or illustrator or somebody singing or some local stuff. This is why we do what we do here at Naukabout every single week, because we love to have local community members come in and showcase whether they're volunteering for a nonprofit or whether they're creating something amazing in our community, and we get to highlight that. So we really enjoy having this moment to have you here. What else do you want to talk about with the Totally Weird Activities books?
Well, Mark and I just put our program together. So I do my personal school visits, but this is really cool. Mark and I have just put our program, and we just did our first one. Where was it? It was up in, oh my gosh, now I'm blanking.
Off Cape.
Yeah.
It was off Cape.
Yeah.
Steve Kapoka, Falmouth guy, he set it up, and so that
It's funny, when you leave the Cape, you never leave the Cape.
you really don't. Right. And John Antonucci, who is the superintendent up there, brought us up, and we had so much fun. We went to the kindergarten, first grade, all the way up to fifth grade, and that was a more visual. Mark knows all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm bringing, plugging into the.
And just drawing for people, no.
Yeah, he did live drawing.
Oh, that's
the
very
whole
cool.
thing. We would create characters they pick out of a hat, and we'd say.
So interactive.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful to have that interaction, but also how it works together, that symbiosis, and showing, just because you're really good at this, but you can work with somebody else that's really good at this and make something magical. It's very cool
Absolutely.
for kids to see that, because it's a sharing process. It's a learning how to create together.
Everyone has their own talents, and I think that's what we show the kids.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you draw some. I can't.
You're
draw
right.
that."
Here's a stick figure.
No, I told Mark that. I said,
No one wants to see my drawing.
Why don't I pretend I'm the guy and I start with a stick figure? So we might do that in the future, and then he'll come in and
Be a fun.
I love it. Will you read for us another one of the little shorts here from?
Yeah.
Is this from the new one?
Actually, let me look. Let me show you.
I know, because I've got a couple of little people that are online, and we've got some little people in the studio here.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to do.
So hey guys. So this is a creative coloring and far out fun. So, for example, so in this book, we're little people, like Mark and I are actually characters. So this
I love
is Little
that.
Ted. So
Little Ted.
Little Mark.
And Edward the elephant escaped from the Piccadilly circus to pursue his dream of becoming a famous artist. So then it says, this painting became his masterpiece. But what's on the canvas? And then Mark says, what did he create? Go ahead and color his picture and this whole page too.
I love that. So you get to color it and then make a story with it, which is both of them.
And Mark, being the artist, he always stresses, color outside the lines. That's what life should be about.
Yeah.
Try something different. And so
That's
here's
my
another
favorite.
one. Yeah. You want to tell them about that one?
Cleopatra's Candy Shop.
So some of the things, let's see, we got pyramid pops.
Chocolate covered tarantulas.
King Tut's Taffy.
Yeah.
Cute.
So then they would create
But then
the
they can
other
draw
ones.
their own
They
too.
can-
Yeah.
They can make their own candy up.
So there's like design a skateboard. So there's a
Using
lot
many
in
parts
there.
of their brain. Yeah.
So that's for our younger audience. Again, I don't have any other stories, but for the new one.
Yeah, that's a new.
But this is going to be called, what was it? Well, I saw that and I was like, well, that looks like a time capsule. So it's time capsule in Dinosaur Valley.
Okay.
And so there's 23 of these. They're all different.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And that's coming out April 26th.
25th, yeah.
25th.
But you can actually, pre-order now.
Okay.
And I want to give a shout out to our publisher, Turner Publishing, who's they just bought out our other company, so we're kind of starting fresh with them.
Okay.
And they loved it so much that this is also going to be available in hardcover.
Oh,
which was
very
not
cool.
that wasn't originally planned.
Yeah.
But the publisher is a really cool guy. He's like,
But I
"Let's
like
do
that
it."
too, because that's great for the car with the kids, because they've got a sturdier surface and they don't need like a thing to put on their lap, which I think a hardcover is really
color
smart.
on
Yeah,
top of.
yeah.
Yeah.
And back to the point of just, like, if a parent is just reading it, in the car, and
Yeah.
then everyone's talking it. You don't
Yeah.
always have to write it down.
Right. Yeah.
Starts with storytelling.
I'm really looking forward to it. Unusual Objects in Fantastic Places, going to be in stores April 25th. You can pre-order it and grab it. And if it's not in your local bookstore, please ask why.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one last thing, just check out totallyweirdactivitybooks.com. That's actually where they can pre-order.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, but thank you, Steph.
Yeah, get creative and get out today. It's so nice outside, but this is definitely a rainy day activity for absolutely any day wherever you're going. Take a unusual story with you. The Murphys, thank you very much for joining us today. We'll be at Naukabout for another hour. So if you want to come down and talk about your nonprofit, maybe plan a day with us. And, you know, the Easter egg hunt is happening here in Mashpee today. So might be an hour to kill and hang out and listen to some tunes with us with Lemonadio. So we appreciate it. Get creative today and have a great day.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.